Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. I just want to let you know that you are enough, you are perfect, and you are beautiful just as you are. Today, I am going to be giving you Makeup Brushes 101. This is the lowdown on, well, I don't want to say all makeup brushes, but a lot of makeup brushes. So I'm going to be going through my Jaclyn Hill X Morphe brush master brush collection set thingy, and I'm going to be talking about each brush, what it's used for, how you use it, basically just going through all the brushes. This is what it's used for, this is what to do with it, boom. For those of you who do not know what most makeup brushes are, or maybe you don't use brushes at all, you use your fingers, which is totally fine, but you want to learn about makeup brushes, this video is for you. I'm literally going to go through every single brush, tell you what it does, tell you what you use it for, and if you decide, hey, I want to buy a brush set, you will know exactly how to use all the brushes in said brush set. Okay, this is a series that I'm going to start doing. Well, I don't want to say series. It's one of a few videos that I'm going to be putting up on my channel and leading up to the launch of my online makeup course, my online makeup course, Makeup for Beginners, a practical guide to makeup application. Yes. If you are interested in learning more about how to do your makeup, you know, skincare, contouring, eyeshadow, all that stuff, if you want to go more in depth and really learn about it even more than what I do on my channel, I do have a free 99 FREE Makeup for Beginners email course that you can sign up for. I will put the link down below in the description box. Just put in your email and you will get the free course. It's an 8-day course and you get one email from me a day, and we talk about each day as a different aspect of makeup. Like I said, totally free, and you get tons of information for free. Even more than what I go into on my channel. So if you're interested in that, I will put it in the description box. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe and make sure you hit the bell so you always get notified when I upload a new video. And let's jump in. So the first brush in this collection, and probably one of the most universal brushes that you will ever see, is this. This is a powder brush, a very fluffy powder brush that's usually used all over the face. So to set your foundation, concealer, cream contour, whatever, to set with translucent powder, even, you know, sometimes to apply powder foundation. I've seen people use a fluffy brush like this. As you can see, it's ginormous. This is the big daddy, okay? Most brush collections will have a brush like this, and it is used for translucent powder to set your entire face, which is why it's so large. The second brush in this particular collection is this brush, and this brush is used for bronzer. As you can see, it is dome shaped, so it actually fits on the, what are these things called? Cheekbones. It fits nicely on your cheekbones and distributes the product really nicely because of the shape of the brush. Now, not all bronzer brushes are shaped like this. This one is, but some of them will be shaped like this. They'll be smaller, but it'll be angled like this. And you'll even find some that are just, you know, kind of flat topped like this, but they're smaller and have more bristles. So there are different types of bronzer brushes. It really just depends on what you like best. Personally, I love this one. Honestly, I really do like this one. But before, I was using, before I was using an angled brush like this for my bronzer. So I was using this before. You can use this for bronzer, but now I use this. Personally, I really, really like this better because of the shape and because it fits so nicely on the cheekbones. So this is an option, and so is this. You might see one or the other. It just depends on what works best for you. Now, this next brush, this one, is a foundation brush. I know that the big thing in the beauty community right now is using beauty blenders or sponges to do your foundation. I used to use sponges, never liked it, but it's all that I had, so it's all that I used. Then I moved on to my fingers. Didn't like that either. Now I use this. I love, Love, this brush. It is such a good foundation brush. It's flat, and a lot of foundation brushes that you can use for buffing out the foundation and not just applying it, they'll be flat. So this flat, you see that right? This like flat top, really densely packed brush. This is what you can use for foundation. It gives you a really nice application, really nice buff when you're applying it. And it's also, good for blending and, all that jazz. There are different types of foundation brushes. Some of them, like kabuki brushes, those are usually smaller, but they're also like the bristles will flare out more. You can use those for applying foundation. There's the flatter foundation brushes that are mostly used, they kind of like paint brushes. Those are mostly used for application, and then you would use some other brush or a sponge for buffing it out and blending it, because I found those types of brushes don't work well for blending, but they're really good for application. So like I said, you don't have to use a brush to apply foundation, but if you do, I would recommend something like this. This is just what has worked the best for me. Been doing this for a while, but it's all about preference, honestly. So the next brush in this collection is this one, and it is a blush brush. So with blush brushes, the bristles aren't very packed tightly together. They're usually a little bit looser, and as you can see, the brush is angled, so you can really get in on the apple of that cheek and give a nice wash of color. Some blush brushes will also look like this, kind of, I showed you this earlier. Some of them will also look like this, maybe a little bit bigger. The bristles might be a little bit longer, but they'll either look like this or they'll look like this. And you can tell, by how densely packed the bristles are if it's for blush or not. But generally, if it's this kind of shape, you can safely assume it's either for contour or for blush. The next brush in this collection is actually this brush that we were just talking about, and this is actually used for contour. I'm going to be really honest and say that the bronzer brush, the contour brush, and the blush brush are pretty interchangeable. Like if you only have a brush like this, you can use this type of brush, this angled brush here. You can use this for contour, bronzer, and blush. You do not have to get three different brushes for contour, bronzer, and blush. You can just use a brush like this. Because of the shape of it, you can just go shoo, 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 boom, boom, bam, you're done with the same brush. That's personally what I would do. That's what I've done in the past. Before I had a whole collection of brushes, I literally used one brush for my contour, my bronzer, and my blush. Just because for me, it's easier that way. And you don't have to keep up with your 3 different brushes. But if you, where'd it go? If you have a brush like this, it would be used for contouring. The bristles, I cannot speak today. The bristles are not very tightly packed together, so it's not gonna really put on too much product unless that's the look that you're going for. And it's also really good for like blending out right underneath that cheekbone where you want the shadow to be. Or where the illusion of shadow, because it's not actually a shadow, it's powder, but you know what I mean. So like right in here where you want to contour, maybe on the jawline, and you're good to go. That's what this brush is for. this kind of short, not domey type. It's not flat top. It's more of a dome shape, but it's smaller. Like the bristles on this brush are longer than the bristles on this brush. So that's how you can tell the difference. So the next brush in this collection is this. It's very, very similar to this brush. Why she put these two brushes in the same collection, I will never understand. I will use these two brushes for the same thing. This can be used for contour, blush, bronzer, and highlight. This can be used for contour, blush, bronzer, and highlight. They have the same shape. These bristles are even more lightly packed together than this one, but they're the same shape. They do essentially the same thing. I don't understand why they're both in this collection, but it's not my collection, so it's not my business. But you can basically use these two for the same thing. This gives a very nice highlight, though. I will admit, this gives a very nice, soft, pretty highlight. So do with that what you will. Now, this baby, okay? See how it's really tapered, and it's got a different shape than, you know, something like this, which is angled, and this is more straightforward. But it's tapered at the end. This is what you would use for under eye concealer. I love this for like when you put on concealer and you have to set it with powder. Boom, look at that. Look at that. Just perfect right in those crevices, the nooks and crannies, right in there. If you bake, if you just, you know, dust on some light powder, boom, you're good. This is a nice brush for under eye powder. And the shape is very distinct. So if you see it, you're like, that's an under eye powder brush. The next brush in this collection is this kind of flat top. It looks like a mini version of the foundation brush. See, it's basically just a smaller version of this. I like to use this for under eye concealer. This works really well, like just patting it on, blending it out, patting it on, blending it out. This works really well for that. You could probably also use it for some cream contouring. You could use it for applying concealer onto your lid, or applying eyelid primer onto your lid. I don't use primer, I use concealer, so, you know, there's that. But basically, you can use this for any cream product that you use on your face, but I specifically like to use it for my under eye concealer. This is probably, if not my favorite, my second favorite brush in this entire collection. It's this. I know it doesn't look that special, but it is. It looks like a giant blendy brush. And I guess in a way it kind of is, but this is a fantastic highlighter brush. I don't know why. I don't know how. But this gives the most blinding highlight I have ever experienced. Usually, before I use this brush, I would use a fan brush or a contour brush for my highlight. I have since switched over to this brush. But you can use this for highlight, or you can use a fan brush for highlight. It's basically just a fan. Like, oh, what does a fan brush look like? A fan. Trust me. A fan brush is for highlight or for brushing away like excess powder underneath your eye. This is also used for highlight. And it's a tapered brush, very fluffy tapered brush. And it's just boop, 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 boop. And you're blending, everybody. That's what it is. The last brush in this collection that is for the face is this guy right here. Now, it took me a while, about 2 weeks or so, to figure out what the heck this brush was for. Because I'd never seen a brush like this before. I'd never had a complete brush set. So I'd never seen this before. But this little devil is for nose contour. Okay? For those of you who do nose contour, I'm not one of those people. For those of you who do, a flat almost angled brush like this is really good for getting that nose. Like, boom, boom, right in there. Really good for that. I don't contour my nose. I'm not really a big contour person. I'll bronze the crap out of my face, but I won't normally contour unless I'm really trying to go there. But I never contour my nose. If you are a nose contour person, a brush like this will be very, very good because of the shape, because of the size. As you can see, it's really small. Like, something like this is also angled, but there's so many bristles. You see that? How thick it is? This is a lot thinner, and it's smaller, and the bristles are very densely packed, so you can get a good amount of product right there, but you can also blend it out. Okay? So, good nose contour brush. You don't have to get a separate brush for your nose contour, but if you want to, this is a really good one. I'm not saying, and disclaimer, you do not have to buy this brush set. I am not an affiliate for Jaclyn Hill. I'm not an affiliate for Morphe. You do not have to buy this collection. That's not what this video is. I am just using what I have to give you information that you may need as someone who wants to either learn how to do your makeup or figure out what all the heck these brushes are for. So, I'm not selling this collection. I'm not trying to, make you buy this collection or anything like that. I'm just trying to give information, and this is the only way I know how to do it. Nose contour brush. Boom. Okay, so the last brushes are eye brushes. So I'm going to try and go through these super quick because this video is already going to be super long. I can already tell. So, first blending brush is this gigantic monster here. You see how big this thing is? It's really big because the eye is not that big. All right, so this brush is really big on the eye. This is if you want to do something real quick. You want to dip the brush in the shadow, boom, 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 put it all over the lid, and be out the door. That's what this monster is for. Very big, very quick, super simple. It's very large. So when you have a large brush like this, it's usually for all over the eye. And it'll give you a nice, soft wash of color. This is probably my favorite blending brush in the entire collection, but that's just me. Moving on to this brush, which is a really just general fluffy blending brush. This is your average blending brush for eyeshadow. So if you have colors that you want to blend, or you have a darker shade that you're trying to blend into your transition shade, you would take a brush like this, a clean one, because mine's not clean, go figure, and just boom, blend, 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 until your arm falls off and your shadow is soft. Boom. Here, the next brush we have is also a blending brush, but this is a really good brush for the transition shade right in that crease because it's a little bit longer, but it's still tapered, so it fits real nicely in that crease area. You see that? So you're going to go in with your transition shade, your lighter shade or your darker shade, whatever you're using to blend the rest of your shadows into. You're going to go in with it on this brush. It's going to give you really nice color, and it's not going to go all over the place, because if you use this one, it's going to go all over the place. So if that's the look you're going for, great. If it's not, you're going to want to use this one or something like this one. You know, something slimmer, something tapered, but still, but still fluffy and still kind of blendy brushy. This is just a smaller, a little bit denser blending brush. You would probably go in with this and blend out the darker shadow just because it's a little denser, so you can really get that sharp line. If you're doing like a cat eye, you can really get that sharp line and the shadow won't go everywhere because it's a little bit denser. Boom. The next two brushes in this collection I use in conjunction with each other. So it's this one, which is a blendy brush, but it's a little bit denser, a little more tapered. And then you have this one, which is a little bit domier, a little fluffier. And this one I would use, if I'm doing like a cut crease, I would use it to blend out the cut crease a little bit so it's not too harsh. and then go in with this one a little bit higher with that transition color to blend it out and make sure that everything is soft. So the denser, tapered one to blend out the crease, and then the softer, domey one for pigment above the crease. Got it? Cool. Now, this brush is very important because this is kind of like the finishing touch. When you've gone through your entire look and you're almost satisfied, but you feel like things need to be blended out just a little bit more, this is what you want to use. It's kind of a flat top, kind of domey, really fluffy brush, and it's good for blending out like when you're almost done with a look, but there's just certain areas that need to be blended out a little bit more, but you don't want to go over the whole look and blend it, just like specific areas, like, oh, right here in the crease, or maybe just, you know, smoke this area out a little bit more. I like to go in with this brush. Kind of fans out a little bit of a flat top, but also kind of domey. Really, really good for like a finishing, blendy, buffer type job is what I would use this for. And it's also a lot like taller. The bristles are a lot longer than this brush. So you see how like the bristles are longer? Yeah, so that's what I would use this for. That's what I do use this for. Next brush. This one is a smaller, more precise version of this brush. So while you might use this to go into big areas that need buffing, you would go in with this one maybe on smaller areas that need buffing. And you want to make sure that you're being very precise with those smaller areas. Basically just a smaller version of the other brush. It's also not as fluffy. As you can see, the bristles are more straight and they're not fluffing out as more. So you're going to get a really, really precise buff with this brush. Moving on to this really cute pencil brush. I like to use a brush like this when I'm going under the waterline. Yeah, so when I'm trying to connect the eyeshadow up here with the eyeshadow down here, so I don't look like a crazy person, I like to use a pencil brush like this. The bristles are very densely packed. It is fluffy, but it's not too fluffy that the color is going to be too washed out. You're going to get a nice application with a brush like this because the bristles are packed together really nicely, and it's going to give you a really good color underneath the eye. So something like this, really good for the waterline or under eye area, not the waterline. This brush, it looks kind of similar to the pencil brush. You can see they look a little bit similar. This one is a little less fluffy and it's also a little bit smaller. So this one is for that inner corner highlight. When you're trying to like blind somebody or maybe poke yourself in the eye, you would use a brush like this. Very, very dense, not fluffy at all, but it's really going to pack that color on the inner eye, and that's what you want. Okay, we are down to the last 4 brushes, and these are pretty easy, so we're just going to run through these. So, remember how you had this blender brush, this blender brush, which is a little bit more precise. Now you've got this one, which is the most precise. So if you have an area that you really don't want to mess up, but you think it needs a little bit more blending, you would take this guy. He's super tapered, not as fluffy as the other ones, but he's really going to get in there real small and get the job done. All right? He knows what he's doing. You just got to just get in there and just blend, 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 blend. This will do it for you. Very tapered, not super fluffy. Just really just gonna get in there. Okay? Yeah. Moving on to this brush, which is flat. If you can see, it's dirty, I know, but it's flat. There's really no fluff to this brush. It's very flat. This is what you would use for your all over lid color, whether that's matte or shimmer. Works really well for shimmers, but matte or shimmer, this is when you're putting the color on your eye and you want to pack it on, like you really want that color on there, you would use this. Because if you use a blendy brush like this, the color is going to be very soft and it's not going to stand out a lot. But if you want that color to show up, you want to use this brush. And you pack it on. Fantastic. Last one, well not last, second to last one, brow highlight brush. As you can see, it's also flat, but it's a dome shaped. The other flat one, it looks similar to this one, but this one kind of comes to a point at the top and this one is just domey. It's also a lot smaller. It's really gonna get in there on that brow highlight and then you're done. Really good brow highlight brush. Flat, dome shaped, really fluffy. This is not a dense brush at all, so it's gonna give you a nice soft wash of color. Last brush. Oh my gosh. It's been a long ride. This very flat, square, rectangle shape brush. You would use this to like smoke out your eyeliner maybe, or smoke out if you have any color down here, you just want to like smoke it out a little bit more, you would use this brush. Because it's flat and straight across, you get a really nice smudgy application here, because you don't have to worry about angles or anything like that. You just dip it in color, put it under there, boom, 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 and you're done. Boom. Well, you guys, I feel like this is such a long video, but that is it for this video. This is a lot, okay? When I do people's makeup, or when I'm teaching people how to do makeup, and I bring out this monster set of brushes that I have, they're like, number one, why do you have so many brushes? And number two, how do you know what to use them all for? And I'm like, I don't. I really just pick whatever one looks nicest to me at the moment and pray that it works. Yeah, but once you start to realize what all the brushes are for and like the shapes and everything, it gets easier to recognize which one you need for that specific purpose. Like if you want to pack on color, you're not going to use a blending brush, all right? If you really want that color to show up, you have to use a brush that has densely packed bristles. And once you get those basic concepts down, you can pretty much use any brush set and be okay. Like I said, you do not have to buy this brush set. Okay, first of all, it's $165. So there's that. But I do like these brushes, and if you do want to get them, I'm not going to stop you, but I'm also not trying to sell you on them. I'm just trying to give you information for those of you who may only have one brush, and maybe you want more brushes, but you don't know what they're for. I have just given you a crash course in makeup brushes. And with great power comes great responsibility, so wield this knowledge wisely. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe, and make sure you hit the bell so that you always get notified when I upload a new video. If you are interested in taking my free Makeup for Beginners email course, I will put that link down below in the description box so you can check that out. Thank you so much for watching. I love you so much. Thank you for supporting me, and I will see you tomorrow in my next video. Bye, loves. If you missed my last video, I will go ahead and link it here so you can watch that. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, go ahead and click on my face or click the button down below this video that says subscribe. Bye.